Hey feelers, it's Christina. I am editing this episode, and so I wanted to put out a little disclaimer. As you probably know, we tragically lost Liam Payne about a week ago when I'm recording this. But when we filmed the episode, it was a lot closer to his passing, and a lot of things have come out since then. So at the time of the recording, we didn't really have all the facts. And also keep in mind that at the time of the recording, we were still working through our own shock and our own grief. And I think that our goal is to celebrate and honor the life of Liam, but also respect him and his family and his son. We also wanted to hold space for One Direction fans to come together and grieve and talk about their feelings and feel like they had somewhere to go, because I think a lot of us relate in that we don't always have other people to talk about these type of events with when they happen. And just know that you're not alone. And if you are not ready to listen to this episode, that's totally okay. I totally understand. And I also wanted to put it out there that if you or somebody that you love struggles with substance abuse, that there are resources available for you. You can go to helpguide.org. We're going to link that in the description and put any other resources we find down there for you. It is a very ugly disease, and it really breaks my heart that Liam went out thinking that he had nobody in his corner, and that people online, people who he tried his best to put out good music for and entertain, just didn't care about him. It doesn't excuse some of the things that he has done and said and the poor choices that he has made, but we do overall want to put out this episode because he is so loved, as is One Direction as a whole, and everybody deserves to feel loved. And if that's something that we didn't drive home enough in the episode, I really want to drive it home here, that he brought light to a lot of people's lives who were dealing with so much, and even some of the things that he was dealing with. And so it breaks my heart that this is the way that he tragically and unfortunately has left this world. So, all that being said, if you see someone in your life that is struggling, please just reach out, because you never know when the last time it may be that you're talking to somebody, or you may never know what the impact that might have on them, the positive impact. So without further ado, I hope that you enjoy the episode, and we hope that it sparks conversation. Talk to you soon.
Welcome to Empaths Anonymous,
A space for dreamers, healers, and feelers, navigating the fine line between putting yourself first and holding space for others.
If you struggle with balancing your needs while still supporting your tribe, then you're in the right place.
Welcome to the support group. Hello. Welcome back to Empaths Anonymous podcast. I've missed you guys. I absolutely love when we have a guest, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I miss us just kikiing. And this may not necessarily feel like a kiki type of episode because it's going to have a very heavy subject matter, and I know a lot of us are emotional about it. But before we get into that, what's in your cup, girly pop?
I have a can. I was too lazy to put in a cup. Product placement. I have a Nixie sparkling water, and it is a flavor. Where did I get this? Where was I at? Where I told you I found a new flavor?
Roots. Was it Roots?
It was Roots. Shout out to Roots. We love a local grocer. I don't know if they have that many other locations.
I was going to say, I've never seen a Roots anywhere else.
Right. They
So.
do feel very local to the Temecula's and the Mariettas.
Yeah.
Anyway, I found the pomegranate green tea Nixie, and it is very good. And obviously it's green tea, so it does give you a little bit of a caffeine kick. And it's good. I like the flavor. I bought it to use for our cute little, how you say?
Oh, our mocktails?
Yes, a mocktail. Thank you. And yeah, I just need a little pick me up that wasn't coffee, because I do be getting coffeeed out, as we've been saying.
Yeah. We've been doing really well at not having overload on coffee.
Yeah.
We've scaled back.
Overdoing it for a while.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of like, okay, back in our tea era.
Yes.
We're waiting for it to actually be cool outside.
We had a scare for a week. It was in the 70s. I'm like, yeah.
I know. Sweaters.
And now it's what, in the 90s again?
Back to shorts. Yeah, today's 91.
Yeah. What's in your life cup?
In my life cup of life, I think I'm doing well overall. Feeling a little bit behind, like I have to make some stuff up, but feeling really, I think I'm showing up today kind of proud. I feel proud today. I feel proud of us. I feel proud of us being able to stick to the commitment that we've made to this project, to this new lifestyle.
Right. To you guys?
To you guys, to one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a lot to keep up with, and it's really fun. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not like stress doesn't come into it, because stress does come into it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm really proud of how we handle ourselves, and I'm really proud of how we show up here really true and authentic to ourselves, and not letting other things get in the way of us not committing to what we've committed to. You know, because we talk about this a lot. What we've been able to accomplish and the people that we've been able to meet and interview, that's like the pot of honey, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm at the point now where it's like the numbers are great and we have steady growth and we're so appreciative of everything.
Yeah. And we are growing online.
Mm-hmm.
We're nearing 250 followers, so that'll be our next milestone. But
right, I feel like it's so hard for people to talk about this, the reality of organic growth.
Right.
A lot of the time people pop up out of nowhere.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, 10K followers, cool.
Right.
But no one talks about
Bobby
the nitty gritty.
I'm like, who the hell is Bobby Altoff?
Right. Yeah, they have these viral moments and all of a sudden they are just it and they are just them. Right. No one wants to talk about the nitty gritties where your milestones are 250 followers. Those are celebratory moments as well. And we appreciate every single person.
Yeah.
That got us to the 250.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe this episode will get us there when you hear this. Yeah,
that's pretty much it. I'm very chill today. Also nearing the start of my cycle, so just a little bit sleepy, I guess.
Well, there's a reason why we're both sleepy.
Actually, yes.
We'll get into that too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I have, what do I have? Brew Doctor Cherry Vanilla Kombucha. First swig, I was thinking it was going to be a lot creamier. And because they said right on the thing that it is inspired by a cola. So I was thinking like, ooh, cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. Yeah. It still tastes like kombucha.
Yeah.
Like,
it still gives you the tang, right?
And I don't think that Brew Doctor particularly is usually very vinegary for me, but this one's kind of giving vinegar.
Oh. Like you could taste it more almost. Maybe because they tried to make it like soda?
Maybe. It is like very... carbonation. It tastes like I put apple cider vinegar in it. It's good. It just, I think I had a different vision.
Right. For me, when I think cherry vanilla, I'm thinking a cream soda, girl. Like,
yes,
give me the texture.
I'm thinking cherry vanilla Coke, cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper, like a treat.
What do they call them in the olden days?
A soda fountain?
A soda fountain. Yeah, where you would go and you would like order and they would mix the shit live in person.
Yeah. If you ever...
Those were some racist ass days, though.
If you ever come with me to... Yeah, for sure. If you ever come with me to my hometown, we still have one of those soda shops.
Gosh. Are we allowed in?
What is it called? I forget what it's called. I think it starts with an A. It's Albert's or something like that.
That sounds really cute.
But they have ice cream sundaes and they have sodas and floats. Yeah.
I want to sit at the bar.
And they have like candies and stuff.
How freaking cute would it be to do a photo shoot and dress up in our little, but like culturally respective, like eras.
Yes. Ooh, that would be really cute.
Right? Because you're thinking 50s, right? So you'd have to look back to your specific culture to see what the girlies are wearing.
Exactly.
We'll get there, we will.
So, life cup. I'm showing up kind of chill today too. Mm-hmm. Kind of like I said last week, like grateful, feeling full circle moments and just trying my best to be present.
Mm-hmm.
And I think coming off of Hispanic Heritage Month, I'm really proud of all of the episodes that we released.
Mm-hmm.
The solos and the guests, obviously. And I'm just trying to like enjoy this week because I'm jet setting again.
Every time.
It's like I get back, I settle, I get back into my routine, and then it's like, oh, I got to go on a trip again.
Mm-hmm.
Time to pack up my entire life.
And this time it's for an extended period of time.
Yeah. This time I'm gone for almost 2 weeks. But I'm going to a wedding, and my cousin, the one that I'm closest in age with on my mom's side, she's having a baby. So
a little baby.
So her baby shower was the weekend after the wedding I'm going to. So I might as well just make a thing of it.
Yeah. And all the holidays, they're going to do all the holidays.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
as of an hour or 2 hours ago, I think I'm going to meet up with Alexia.
Really?
And the last time I saw her was at the One Direction concert in 2014. So it'll be a 10-year reunion if we're able to make it happen. So,
yeah.
which kind of leads us into what we're talking about today.
Yes, we were trying to keep it positive. I think that the shock is still very much there for me personally. Of course, only speak for myself. That we have to say goodbye or see you later or something to Mr. Liam Payne. Even just saying it's just not like registering at all. I feel like I'm telling like a false story, a false narrative.
Right. He's not here on this earth anymore.
Right.
Like there's no like he's going to come back later.
No.
Nothing.
No.
That's the part that's really hard to grasp. The day that it happened, I woke up feeling so strange. My body and my mind just felt physically heavy. I remember having really dark and weird dreams the night before. And so, when you wake up and they just kind of linger, that feeling lingers with you.
The anxiety.
Yes. And I just felt really sad. And I was like, oh, depression? Is that you? You're back for another stint? It was just
random,
out of nowhere, very
nowhere.
random.
Yeah.
And you had left to go pick up your daughter. And I just couldn't get myself to get up and get started with my day. I laid in bed on my phone watching YouTube videos until 1:30. And then finally got up, got ready, went to a coffee shop to go work. And that's when I got your text.
Right.
That he had passed.
Yeah.
And he had passed at 1 p.m. And so I'm really wondering if my body knew it somehow psychically. I don't know.
Yeah.
Before I'm like, my brain is still registering it. But it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to like grasp at straws to make meaning, but I feel like that was it.
It's hard to explain you're not being able to like physically do something. Normally she's up and moving about,
Right.
Going on a morning walk or doing something. Yeah. It's been a while since I think you've slept in that late and that you were kind of just chilling in the room. So yeah, last week as a whole was just all very strange. I went to go look at a car. Proud new owner.
Oh yeah.
I have
That's another update.
A brand new to me, just side note, brand new to me car. Finally, I have my own vehicle again. And it has been since a car really, really feeling like my own. just call it 17. 2017 was kind of the last time I felt like I had a car to myself that was mine, that I took care of. And
you're not sharing it with anybody. You don't have to coordinate anything.
No coordinations. I coordinate with myself, and I am obsessed. I'm like, I just can go anywhere I want. It's fantastic. It has been a long time. The majority of my years in LA, I functioned, sharing a vehicle. So it wasn't anything that really felt like, I feel like that freedom was gone a long time ago.
Right.
So now to have it back is like a little bit of a weird feeling. Apparently, this whole week, or I guess last week and a half, is just kind of feeling like things aren't really real. Having to come to terms with what is my new reality.
Yeah.
What is a lot of people's new reality. So I was there and it was the LA Times headline. And I really was waiting for it to be nonsense.
Yeah. I was in line ordering my coffee at Abode. And I saw your text and I literally had to stop for a second and I let the lady behind me go because I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
It was like that. I audibly said, hold on, what? At the car lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my phone. We're wrapping up and we're getting ready to leave. And I see the headline, dead at 31. I'm like, no. I'm like, someone made this shit up. Something happened where people think that he is, and it's just not. Like, the news is about to come out that it was a false report.
Right.
Or he would have tweeted, oh no, like a rumor that I'm dead again.
Has that been a thing before?
Oh, I guess not him, but people. Yes.
So yeah, it was just one of those things that I just felt off. I felt like a really weird, sad, dark energy. I mean, I think that it took me a few days to really register what had happened.
Yeah, we still had to function very much in like our everyday regular life, go to work, deal with the things that we're dealing with. We couldn't just lay up.
Right. And like you said, not that I didn't believe it, but it didn't feel real. And I mean, just to catch you guys up, we were fully there for that era.
Oh yeah.
We are the same age as the guys. We're the same
Most of
age as
them.
Louis.
Yeah.
And so we were older fans at the time. I was fully in college
Mm-hmm.
when all of that was happening, but we were there for it, like went to the tours, did all the shit.
Yeah.
And so I think that not saying that if you're not, or if maybe you were a newer One Direction fan or you weren't there for the whole time, that it makes your feelings less valid.
Never.
Everyone's feelings are completely valid. And I think I find myself feeling like, besides her and besides my couple of friends that also were there with that time, were One Direction fans, I don't really feel like anybody quite understands.
No, it's definitely very much feels like a virtual or online community.
I mean, it really was.
Yeah,
They're the
that really
first
only
boy band that blew up
understands.
online. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yeah, there were the Jonas Brothers, but like, there was barely
They were
Twitter when
still
the
before
Jonas
that
Brothers
time.
started. They were the first ones from the jump were online
With
their
the-
entire journey.
Yeah, especially because their entire formation process was televised.
Yes.
So definitely the first of its kind, I guess, for a boy band. We were the younger fans of NSYNC
Right.
and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears. But imagine if like your older sister or cousin was in college and they were a huge fan of NSYNC and like a huge member of NSYNC passed away. That is what this feels like.
Yeah. Or I keep comparing it to like, what if a Jonas brother passed away? Like, that's how it would feel. Because like we
Right.
were in middle school.
Right? Oh,
We
yeah.
really never had a chance. I got my first
No.
album when I was like 5, 6 years old. My mom got me the Britney Spears doll,
Wow.
Britney Spears album, and the movie for my birthday one year.
I had the tape. So my first experience like choosing music that I wanted to listen to, I had a boombox. It was a gift, and I think I was maybe like 7 or 6. And the boombox could play, of course, tapes. And I think CDs were just kind of coming out at that time, but tapes were still huge, and they used to put singles on the tapes.
Yeah.
So it was Baby One More Time, and I played the shit out of that tape on my boombox. And it was like my first real introduction to essentially choosing the music that I wanted to listen to. And so that just spiraled into so many other things. And I got excited to watch the things like VMAs and all the music awards because that's when I got to see them, you know, on TV. And then it ended up being my NSYNC was my first concert. I never, unfortunately, did get to see Britney Spears live.
Me either.
I never saw Backstreet Boys live either, but I wasn't interested in them. So NSYNC being my first concert is very telling of how I was going to grow up.
And we never had a chance.
Right.
But even so, with all of that, we haven't experienced a death. Like, rest in peace to Aaron Carter. I mean, that's really the closest thing that I have to it of somebody from our era.
Right.
But I mean, similarly to Liam, like Aaron Carter also struggled with drugs for a really long time, and he wasn't still in the spotlight when he passed.
Right.
You know, Aaron Carter was famous for a very specific moment in time.
Yeah.
That you had to be there for.
And I think he struggled with that, and he struggled a lot. Him and Nick both, I think, struggled very much with their family dynamic. And so it really just speaks to, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We're a mental health podcast. But, you know, I guess this somewhat goes into what is it you kind of wrote down as far as how you were feeling last night. But being able to talk about the mental health of someone while it's happening, and also while they're still making the choices that are not palatable, or when you find out something about someone.
Yeah.
And it was a wrong decision that they made, and it was a poor decision. Right. And they still haven't come to terms with that, or if they've not taken accountability for it, or if they denied it.
Yeah.
And it ends up being true on multiple occasions.
Right.
Something you reposted today was like, you can still have humanity about someone who has made wrong choices.
Right. Yeah. And I think that too, like the first few days was like really hard for me. I didn't have an instant like cry it out moment.
Me either.
If you don't know, Liam, there were allegations that came out from a past girlfriend that he was abusive. And then another girlfriend didn't outwardly say it, but kind of hinted in a TikTok video,
or like she was agreeing.
Like, yeah, girl, hashtag me too kind of shit.
Yeah.
So there was that. He also, you know, just over the last few years has been kind of chaotic, has said and done some things that were off color, has said things about the other guys in the band that were not great. And so
I think
at first I was conflicted about how to feel. Like, of course I was sad, and of course it's heartbreaking when someone loses their life, especially in such a way as he did. But I was like, I almost don't know how to grapple with this.
Are we allowed?
Yeah.
Am I wrong to do it? Am I dismissing those women's experience with him if I grieve this person who just did not make good choices?
Right. And then ignore the bad choices to only highlight him as the hero that he was in the band, which I will never take that away from him. But yeah, it's like, how do you grieve? We're all imperfect humans.
Mm-hmm.
So let me first start by saying that. We're all completely imperfect humans. It's not like I'm trying to hold him to a standard, but abuse is serious.
Mm-hmm.
And the words that you say about people, especially people who were once very close to you in your life, you can never take those words back.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're all allowed to make mistakes, I don't think he thought of the impact that the things he said about Zayn, the things he said about Harry, the things he said about Niall that just have not been kind. I don't think he realized how that would affect the fans, because it kind of, I felt guilty because I had almost written Liam off. I wasn't following him on Instagram anymore. I don't remember the last time I ever listened to any of his music. Like, I wasn't supporting Liam, which made me feel even worse.
Right.
So it's like I had all these different feelings mixed together, and I didn't really know what to tackle first. So at first I was almost very like stoic.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I just felt like it was unfortunate. It was tragic. And then you just kind of start to remember what he meant to you at a certain time in your life. Because like you're saying, it probably has not been since they were together. Like, the band ended, and I really only care about, I don't want to say care. That's not the right word. I really only listen to Zayn and Harry. And that is kind of how I was. Of course, if you're a Directioner, I never called myself a Directioner, but if you are a One Direction fan, you know that you basically kind of picked your lane or two.
It's hard to follow 5 different careers.
Yeah.
It really
and a lot
is.
of the time, it's like they're going to go in very different directions.
And they did.
Musically, and they did. And
they were no longer in one.
Period. And I can appreciate that, and I admire that. I think it's exactly what they all needed individually, and so that was just bound to happen. You were going to have people that aligned more with Niall and Louis' style, and then more of the casual laid back style of Zayn, or like the poppy folksy really fun style of Harry. And it was hard for me to convince myself to not feel guilty about not supporting him, because it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
So I kind of felt the same way. And then plus all these attitude changes, and we had to figure out kind of like that he had this really interesting and slightly strange relationship with someone 10 years his senior. And then all of a sudden he became a dad. Like, who became a dad first, him or Louis? I think it was
Louis. They're releasing the last album, and that's when he announced that his partner at the time, is he still with that person?
I don't think.
Yeah.
We've fallen off. Like, that's the other thing. It's like we just don't even really follow their personal lives.
I will be honest. I was really, and I think that it took me a long time to realize, I don't think I'm an angry person. Like, I don't have anger outbursts. I'm not like somebody who just walks around being angry all day. But I think that I have held anger for situations in my life and didn't realize it until after. So when Zayn left the band, I was really angry. Not at Zayn. I still to this day ride for Zayn, and I was at that time, but I was angry by the way the boys treated him when he left, and I was really angry at how the fans treated him. Like, he owed them something.
Right.
What is better? His mental health and staying alive, because he said he was in a very dark time.
Yeah.
Or him entertaining you? What was more important? And then the racism that also followed that.
Yeah, that's
true. I was just angry. So really, once Zayn dipped out, I remember listening to the last album with the 4 of them, but I really was not in it anymore.
I checked out when Zayn checked out.
Yes.
That's just the reality of our situation.
Right.
Especially because we were older at that time. It's like we didn't really have time for the bullshit.
At that time, that was when did they release the last album? 2015, 2016?
15 or 16, I think.
I was already 24, 25. Like, I had other things to worry about and think about.
I definitely was. I was trying to survive myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
I had just moved to a new city. I was trying to get my life together. I was like basically on the verge of having to work 3 jobs just to afford some ramen and rent. And rent. But yeah, I think that I guess back to full circle it, back to the mental health aspect, you really see all these videos and things resurfacing. And when they start to be accumulated like that and then put together, then you start to notice that pattern. But when they're so sporadic, and he's talking about his sobriety here or loss of sobriety there, speaking to Liam's experience,
Right.
with substance abuse and alcoholism, which started way earlier than I even knew, like started very, very early into his experience in the band and was some type of coping mechanism or something that he needed to cope with the level of fame. And like he said, having to be locked in a hotel room with nothing to do and nobody to talk to.
Right. And just the demanding schedule that they had. Like we talked about that too. They never got to just be a normal band and do things on a timeline that felt good to them.
No.
They made an album. They put it out there. They did the press tour. Then they went on tour. Then while they were on tour, they were making the next album. So they were recording. Then as soon as that tour that they were on stopped, they released the next album. And then a month or two later, they're doing all of the interviews, they're doing all the shit, and then they're going back on tour.
Right. I just
That was
cannot
their
imagine
reality
that
for
level
5
of
years.
exhaustion.
Right.
Just it's beyond tired. It's like fatigue to where your body is shutting down. When Zayn left, he looked ill.
Yeah.
He looked sick. And that is how I was starting to feel when all of these allegations were coming out about Liam. And his girlfriend was very present on TikTok. And so then those started to show up. I wasn't, like we said, not really paying that close of attention to him prior to all this. And so the allegations started coming out, and then I started to see more of him surface up and bubble up. And this was just, 2 weeks before he ended up passing away.
Yeah.
And so I do wonder, like, how much he had access to things online, because people online were just,
I'm sure,
were just saying some of
he was very
the
present
worst
online.
things.
Like he posted on his Snapchat all of the time.
Yeah.
He was on Twitter a lot. I think that he, out of the 5 of them at this current moment, was the most present with the fans still.
Yeah.
I think that from all of the footage that I'm seeing now, it's almost like he was wanting to be seen again.
Yeah.
And he was wanting to be appreciated.
Right.
And going to all the guys' shows and meeting fans outside. I mean, somebody said that they got in an elevator with him and he's like, I was in a boy band, It almost felt like he felt left behind. All of the other boys, because look at all the things that they're doing. His label drops him and he's not able to release the album that he worked so hard on, and like things like that. He probably just felt so, hey, do you guys fucking remember me?
Yeah.
Like,
I think
exist,
he
I'm here.
anticipated having that level of fame that Harry has.
Right.
And the level of following that maybe Louis and Niall have. Like, those girls ride hard for those boys. Like, they are going to the shows. They're going to multiple shows.
Right.
Back to backs.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, Louis was touring?
Yeah, see, and that's okay.
Because I'm just so, I can't hold everything in my brain anymore.
Right. It's too much. 5 different careers is a lot.
And I can love them both from afar. When Niall's on The Voice, I love watching him as a judge on The Voice. He's so great.
We do what we can.
We're
very grown ladies.
And you can't even monetarily, because I know he came to San Diego. Even monetarily, I can't support everybody.
No.
We're spending $200 to go see Zayn in January, you guys, which another point is, seeing all of the boys' messages. And then obviously Zayn reschedules his tour, which I'm so glad that he did. But we can't monetarily support everybody.
No, it was already going to cost us, like, first of all, we don't like driving, and we are very much in our luxury life era, and we're going to pretend that we can afford it until we actually can.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're going to LA, and we are not far from LA, y'all. I mean, far enough for it to be an inconvenience, but it was something we had like thought about, and we're like, we should definitely get a hotel, right? And she was like, I was actually thinking that. So it was like the tickets, which were resale, so they were high.
If anyone knows,
top of a hotel stay.
I'm just curious. What were they? Any of the Zayn girlies that got a ticket? What were they at face value? Because we spent $200 each.
Yeah, and I was fine with that, because it being Zayn, you never know when he's going to come back.
Right.
And so I was like, this might be our first and last experience.
Right.
Which is totally fine. And I respect his choice to do it or not do it. But if he's going to be there, then yeah, I'm going to spend the money, because it might be the only time I get to spend $400 on Zayn.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, that's a deal.
Right. Yeah.
I saw Zayn once in my life and it was for $400.
Right.
So,
but yeah, bringing it back, what really struck me first was it was very apparent that Liam was not doing okay. And he even went on a live or on his Snapchat something and said that he was really struggling with his mental health. And it just, I don't ever want to blame other people when somebody else dies, but I'm like, where was his support system? Why didn't anybody do anything? Or was it just past the point of being able to? I know that he went to rehab for almost an entire year. When will we get to a time where we can see all of these people who have died because of drug addiction and mental health? When is it going to be enough for people to say their health and them being alive and on this planet is more important than making sure they post on their story every day, or they're releasing music, or they're dot, 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 dot. When can we step in and say something? And when can we stop patronizing and bullying people online to the point where he went out knowing that, or thinking that everybody hated him?
Pretty much.
And that on its own makes me want to cry.
Yeah. Because like I said, I think he had a lot of access to what people were saying about him. And speaking to potential lack of support system, we're just making these assumptions, but who knows like what kind of divide there was, right? Like he wasn't with the mother of his child, you know, he wasn't with his ex-fiance, he was with his new girlfriend.
Right.
And then you wonder, okay, well, where are his parents? Like, what did he have siblings or no?
He has two. I forget one. I know one of them is Nicola, and then one of them he was really, really close to, and I forget her name now. But yeah, he has two sisters. He's the baby. He has two older sisters.
Yeah. So
and
at
then
what
Jeff
point?
And Karen.
So at what point did they like? I don't want to say give up, because you never truly give up on a person, especially if you love them as deeply as they love their brother and their son. But like, when did they give up, or as far as maybe let loose a little bit on the fact that they were completely out of control of his behavior and his actions, right? If you say that, okay, I've gone to rehab for a year, right? And I've done all these things and I've tried to remain sober and worked on myself and worked on all the things that like are my triggers. And you do those things as a family member to support that person. And then later on, it's like, oh, well, I'm seeing the same pattern that you're slipping back into, right?
Right.
At what point does it not really become their responsibility anymore, and you support them and you love them, but there's a fine line. I mean, this is coming from someone who watched intervention like on a regular basis. Did he have too much access to funds? You know, did he have too much access to the internet?
Right. And I think this is something, you guys can correct me if you're wrong, if you know the real Scooby-Doos. I think that he has said in an interview that because he was yanked away at such a young age, forced to cope with everything they had to cope with on his own, alone in hotel rooms.
Yes.
I don't think his family knew a lot.
Right.
He said that he struggled with like, how do you talk about mental health? How do you tell somebody you're struggling? I'm just trying to like, I'm being escorted here and shuffled here in this interview and this show and this and this. When do you even really have time to process it and then be able to reach out to your loved ones at 16, 17, 18 and be like, hey, I'm depressed.
So yeah, I think in his specific situation, I mean, it's sad. So you always kind of want to say who done it, right? Who got him to this point? Was it Liam himself? Did he just not ask for enough help? Which I think from what we've seen, he did. And he said on multiple occasions that he had a lot of these struggles, which is hard enough to do by itself. Say that you're even struggling to begin with. But I often wonder, like you saying that just kind of made me think about how do the people feel that were on that management team? How do the people feel right now that were basically responsible for this group of boys from the ages that they were up until when they exited the band?
Right.
How do those people feel? Because those are the people that actually could have made different choices. Those are the people who could have said, actually, you know, from this tour to that tour to this songwriting session to that
Right.
interview, I think these boys are going to hit a point where they're just not well.
Yeah.
And no, they won't be producing for us in whatever freaking machine that we've got going on here.
Right. They're a person. They're not a cash grab.
Human. Yeah, they're a human. And I think that maybe that's definitely a bigger conversation that people are starting to have more often now, because it does unfortunately take this. It does take loss. It does
that's what
take
I'm wanting
a severe
to,
death.
Right. That's what I'm wanting to point to is like the system as a whole is broken. And I'm not blaming his family. I'm not blaming his girlfriend. I'm not blaming his friends. I mean, I do kind of want to know what happened in his own management team and, you know, getting dropped from his label and all of that. But like, I'm looking at the industry as a whole is very broken, and it chews you up and it spits you out. And I've said this about Britney Spears and I've said this about Justin Bieber. We failed them. And now I'm looking at Liam and I'm like, I think that the bullying contributed to it. I think that he went through a lot in a short amount of time. Went all of a sudden from in the biggest band in the world to now the band's over.
Yeah.
And how do I cope with that?
Yeah.
And
it was like the idea of relevance.
Yeah.
It's like 1 minute you have to be locked in your hotel room, and the next minute you could just walk outside and no one's really bothering you like that.
Right.
Because now you're by yourself.
Right.
It's not you plus 4 other guys.
And you don't have this entire publicity team and management team and the machine that is the music industry backing you and making you relevant.
Right.
That's the problem that I have. Because it's like, how many child stars do we have to see be fucked up before we do something different?
Yeah.
Get Allison Stoner on the podcast.
Oh my God, I wish. Allison Stoner is doing her goddamn thing. And we love it. We love that she started that conversation. She started it years ago. Years and years. And I think that she definitely is a person that will not give up that fight. She is not about to give up on this shit. I think her book's coming out about it. Her podcast is so eloquent. She's like a very eloquent. Yeah, she's a very eloquent human being.
I think that this whole situation has just been a reminder, even just in my personal life, that if you have something to say to somebody, just say it. We've made a few friends in, oh my God, not me getting emotional. We've made a few friends through this band and through other bands. And I kind of like went back and forth for a while. And I was like, do I reach out? Do I not? Liam wasn't their favorite. It's fine. They're probably like, oh, I haven't talked to you. Right. Like, I haven't talked to you in years. Like, why are you randomly reaching out? And then I like told myself today, if I'm thinking of this person, and I want to let them know I'm thinking of them and I want to make sure that they're okay. Like, why do I have to have a reason to reach out to somebody?
Yeah.
And I think that it's just reminded me of that. Of if you see something wrong with somebody, if someone pops in your mind, if you miss somebody, anything, it's like, what's the worst thing that they can happen? They don't respond. Okay, but at least you are making sure you're trying to make the effort with people. So that's really like what this whole thing has brought for me.
Yeah. It's brought on a lot. Like I said, it was not really until last night that I actually allowed myself to kind of feel the things that had been like festering, and I allowed myself to watch some of the videos that I was definitely skipping past because I just knew I wasn't really ready to process all of that. And then, just speaking to why we're tired, what we spoke about earlier, is we were just kind of sending videos to each other back and forth. But a part of that was really cathartic, and it was really part of you have to feel to heal. And so being able to watch those videos and being able to kind of look back on certain memories of him and how we remembered him, and not all these allegations that were circulating and the rumors that were circulating and the photos of the hotel room, all that stuff was what we had to see first. Right. Because it was just the news. Until you let those things dissipate for a few days, and then you started to see more of the tribute videos or the fans setting up vigils everywhere, you guys. Like, one thing about girlies is we're gonna get shit done, and we're gonna invite everyone to the carne asada. Okay, Mexico City, Argentina, of course, where unfortunately took place, and all over LA. I think San Diego did one. and just some
pretty
of the
much every major city and every country. I
Mhm.
saw like Germany, I saw like Jakarta and Indonesia,
Wow.
all these places setting up vigils. It's so unfortunate because there's girls that even are saying, my boyfriend's making fun of me for crying. I never felt free about loving One Direction because my family would make fun of me. Like, why are women, girls, whatever, any age group, why are we made to feel bad about being passionate about something that we're literally, I was going to say we're carrying on our back, but in a way, yes. Did they do the work and did they put out the music and go on these tours? Yes. But
they gotta sell the tickets to somebody.
The reason that they had all that is because they blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
And we're still showing up. I'm still spending lots of money to go see Zayn.
Yeah.
You know?
And I would have
like,
spent
why
lots of money to see Harry as well.
Yeah.
My daughter loves Harry. If you think that I'm not going to use my last bottom dollar to go take her to see Harry when she's ready to go see him, you know what I mean? We're carrying on something that like is an experience.
Yes.
Why are we shamed for having experiences?
Right. Like I said
it's
earlier,
really weird.
I really wanted to like wear merch today.
Yeah.
And just be comfy and nostalgic. Okay. But I don't have anything. And I went to 4 concerts and I never bought anything because one, their merch wasn't the greatest. It was kind of juvenile and marketed towards 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
But 2, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. I was like, I know I'm not going to wear that in public anyway, so I don't have $80 to spend on a sweatshirt.
Right. And now what's funny about all that is like the secret fans are coming out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so y'all too? You just didn't say anything, right? But not all these men knowing words like the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So now that everyone is trying to mourn and grieve and celebrate, now it's like out the woodworks. I remember I tweeted or I said something on my Instagram story when Jonas Brothers kind of had their little comeback moment after Nick almost ruined the band. We'll never forget. And I said, and like all of a sudden people started to like post things. And there was no shame in loving it. I'm like, y'all, I swear to God, I've been here since 2007 and y'all used to rake me. And I'm like, oh, now it's cool. Now I see y'all. Right. Right. Now it's cool to like them. But before I was a nerd or they were gay, which so what? I'm like,
they're brothers, first of all, so that's weird that you're making those assumptions. But 2, I was on AOL Messenger crying when Nicholas got diagnosed with diabetes as if he was going to fucking die.
Yeah. You know? That's how they, yeah. It was a little bit longer and he'll be fine. It was marketed that way. There's no doubt about that.
Panic.
It was definitely like it's sad because we joke about it now. It's like this is how
it has to be.
We have to have comic relief.
11 and 12-year-olds had no business pretending like somebody having diabetes was life ending.
But like, for us, we don't understand what the hell was diabetes. I don't know what that is. I like remember specifically, I have such a vivid memory of his brothers talking about it, and his brothers talking about it was what kind of made it, and his parents too, was what kind of made it so next level, is because their reaction was so emotional.
Right.
I made this joke the other day because it was Kevin, and Kevin was like, he was just drinking so much water. He was just so thirsty all the time. And I'm over here crying, oh my God, you're so right. You're so right. So much water.
He was so thirsty.
He was so thirsty. He was dying.
It made me grow up with this like fear of, oh, if I'm drinking a lot of water, does that mean I have diabetes?
Oh, I'm extra tired today. I have type 1 diabetes.
Right. But anyway, there's a TikTok sound going around right now of it's okay to be a fan, and in fact it's good for you to be a fan of something because that's the zest of life. It's the sparkle, it's the fun. Why are we made fun of for liking things? That's so stupid. Men are never made fun of for liking fucking baseball and football.
Literally crying over football teams and crying like when their teams lose.
Right.
It's like I actually should make fun of you for that, but I don't, because I don't give a fuck what you like or don't like.
And starting
like
fights,
imagine
physical fights.
Physical fist fights. Getting blackout drunk, abusing your family on a Sunday because your team who doesn't know a thing about you. Yeah. It's the same shit. Oh, you care about that band? They don't even know who you are. Like, why do you care about someone you don't even know? I don't know. Why the fuck do you care about Tom Brady?
The obsession.
Because we don't care. As women, we mind our business so hard. We don't care about what you like or don't like. We occupy that much of your brain. that you really have to think about, like,
Right.
I guess it goes for everybody, right?
I'm stupid.
Women and
because-
men, whomever
Right.
makes fun of another person or shames another person for being passionate about something, for being a full-on fan and
Right.
caring about a celebrity or a person you've never met. Get a life. Because we already have ours. Okay?
Yeah.
We're living it.
Yeah.
That's why we don't care about you.
And it's like the hiding it. So I had to go to work, not the next day, but the following day after this all happened. And there's a girl who's close-ish to my age, and she like came up to me and she was like, "Were you a One Direction fan? I loved them. I literally went to bed at 7 p.m. last night because I was so upset I cried myself to sleep." I'm like, "Oh my God, girl." And then we got into it.
Yeah.
And then one of the other coworkers that was standing around, and he's like probably our age, if not a little older, like
Okay.
mid-30s.
Okay.
He's like, "If you ever bring this up, I will never, ever admit to it, and I'll call you a liar, but I love Harry Styles." And I'm like, "Why does it have to be
Why is it a secret?
a secret?" He's like, "Yeah, me and my toddler, she loves to listen to him in the car. It just makes her so happy." And
why wouldn't you share that story? That's like the most beautiful story ever.
I'm like, and I literally said to him, "This actually made me like you way more."
Yes.
Because you for once shared an authentic thing about yourself that
Yeah.
brings you joy.
Yes.
And you're not trying to be this hyper masculine man.
Right. It's not weird that your child liking something
Yeah.
brings you joy. And then, of course, you're going to love the thing that your child loves.
Yeah.
Because that is bringing them joy and they bring you joy. They could literally pick their nose and flick it, and that's going to make me laugh and make me happy because they're my child.
Yeah.
Why would you not share that?
Right.
Like,
we get down to 4town in the car, okay?
Yes,
because it makes her
4town.
happy.
Yeah, I literally will get in there and I'll be like, any music requests, because I care about what she cares about. I want her to know that she can care about anything she wants.
Yes.
And if anyone tries to give her any type of lip, I am the mom to go to the school. Unfortunately.
Absolutely.
I am there to get a visitor badge and stare into the eyes of anyone who speaks to my daughter any type of way.
She won't need it.
She won't.
That's the thing. She will stick up for herself.
But I am still the type. So don't let it get to that point where if she's sticking up for herself and it's still not working,
Which kind of leads me into, I mean, we obviously have gone into the darkness and his shortcomings and things like that. I would love to end the rest of the episode on a good note.
Yeah.
And I had to have a moment where I told him I'm sorry privately. You know, I'm sorry I turned a blind eye. I'm sorry that I let the things that you did that I didn't agree with change my view of you. So forgive me. And also, I love you and thank you for everything. Oh my God.
Just say it. You got to let it out.
I was going through a lot in that time. When One Direction started, I was just going through a lot in my family and in my personal life and even just mental health. I was just in a really dark spot. And I think that's why I clung on to them so much. 'Cause I'm like, oh my God, like the serotonin, the dopamine that my brain's not making on its own. Great.
Yeah.
And like
really.
just the fun songs. And side note, a little story time that I wanted to tell. Danny and I kind of have One Direction to thank for becoming close.
Yeah.
Because we met my freshman year of college, which is a different story for a different time. As far as just the religious trauma of it all.
like where she was.
Right.
Yeah.
I only went there for a year because that's literally all that I could handle. And Danny was living off campus, but one of her family members was my roommate, and that's how we met. And I only went there for a year, but the following year, I came here. When I first met you, you lived in the other house. And then when I came to visit you guys, it was spring break, and I came here.
Yeah.
And their first album had just dropped. And I didn't really know. I don't even think I knew that you were a Jonas Brothers fan at the time. I didn't know that you were a fangirl, you know?
Well, no, because again, the embarrassment, the having to suppress it, because if you did that, you were not cool. And then being so involved, again, different story, different day, but quickly, being so involved in a controlling organized religion, you were really made to feel if your focus wasn't God, then you were a loser. And you couldn't have any other interests other than like just trying to be the most perfect human being on earth. And so that was kind of a time where I didn't allow myself, because then it was like I was guilty and I was a sinner.
Right. And it's like, well, why are you, they're so worldly. Why are you supporting someone of the world?
Yes.
But anyway, back to the story. I came out here for spring break, and we were hanging out when the TV room was in the other room. And I started playing Stole My Heart. And this bitch starts Amy Poehler Mean Girls dancing in the doorway. And I was like, oh, I know what she is.
You can spot that bitch from a mile away. And yeah, at that time, I think I was like in this weird limbo of still being kind of involved in it, but realizing a lot of stuff on my own. It's like early 20s. So a lot of stuff is developing upstairs, you know? And so I think I was kind of teetering that line. I'm like, I'm getting back to my roots. Oh no, everybody watch the fuck out because she's back.
Yeah.
So I had definitely quieted that part of myself for a long time, which is why that part of my life just didn't even really feel like just like a genuine part of myself. I just didn't feel like I was experiencing myself in my own life. Does that sentence even make sense? Like I wasn't able to
dissociated.
Yeah, I was not experiencing like the full breadth of myself. Like I was not able to go there because all those things were just not allowed to happen in the lens of somebody else.
Right.
Unpacking. Okay. So yeah, to this day, Stole My Heart is in the top 5. And if you don't know what we're talking about, that song is slept on. If you know, you know.
Justice for Stole My Heart.
Stole My Heart.
Stole My Heart stands. Please rise.
Yeah. For 5 minutes. I think it's why I was a Louis girl. Because that's such a Louis song.
Really? I feel like it's such a Liam coded song.
But
every time I hear that song, I immediately think of Liam.
I just hear Louis' voice.
Louis doesn't really sing in that song at all.
What? Yes, he does. I have to play this.
The verses are Liam and the choruses are Harry.
What?
Yeah.
There was never a music video for that, was there?
No, I don't even think that they ever performed it. Because it's such a dance pop song.
It so confused.
Was like, in the club, we all fam. If they played that somewhere, I would fucking pop this pussy. Immediately and immaculately.
Oh my God, why did I think it was on Take Me Home? It's on Up All Night.
It's on the first album.
Okay, now I'm remembering it's Liam. I knew it was Liam. I mean, what the hell? How do you not get up out of your seat? Do you hear this shit right now? I know this is Liam.
Yeah.
This is where so I have to physically be in it. I have to be watching the videos. I have to be listening to the music for me to be like, oh, that's real. I'm still able to be like, that is here and this is here.
Compartmentalizing.
Yeah, I very much am good at that.
Yeah.
I think it's a trauma response.
Fast forward to the second verse. I think that they're both Liam. Cute. That's Harry.
Is it?
It is.
It's so high.
Well, yeah, he was like 16 at the time.
It's like 12. Okay.
Him again. And then I think Zayn does the bridge.
Am I about to get to the bridge?
Zayn on the bridge.
You're right. I don't know why I thought this was Louis. Do I remember him writing it? Did he write this one?
No, at that time they didn't do any of that.
Written by Jamie Scott and Paul Meehan. Where did I get all confused? I swear I could swear up and down. I would bet money on that. I thought it was a Louis song. Also because I first of all didn't even remember it was on the first album. I thought it was on the second album.
Oh no. Can someone do an EDM remix of that, please?
Oh, I'm sure there is already.
I need it. I need to know. Does anybody else, when you listen to Stole My Heart, do you have to listen to it twice, or do I just have OCD? I listen to the full thing. It gets to the end. I'm like, no, it wasn't enough. Replay. Every time. I can't just listen to that song once.
Every time?
Pretty much. Oh. Today on a walk, listen to it twice.
Oh.
The other, when I found out and I was driving, because it reminds me so much of Liam, I was like, ooh, dedicated to Liam. And I listened to it and I had to listen to it twice.
I don't know why I just completely did not. I don't know what my brain was doing. I know Liam sings the whole fucking song.
And that album, honestly, it was mostly him and Harry holding it down with Zayn on the bridge. That's literally.
Oh, yeah. It took Niall and Louis a minute.
Yeah.
It took them a minute. They had to kind of figure out what their sound was.
Hashtag let Niall sing. Remember that?
I remember that.
On Tumblr? There was a petition, bitches.
They were in an uproar.
They had to get 50,000 signatures.
Tumblr was a time. I feel like we could go on for 3 more hours, but I did want to I think some of my most favorite memories was, just the friendships that got formed around having the same interests and having the same amount of adoration and love for these 5 young men who just made us happy. Yeah. And I think I said this in the last episode that saying you're happy is very underrated and just not said enough because it just matters. It matters that you have joyful moments. It matters that you make connections with people. And it doesn't matter what it's over, right? If it's Pokemon, if it's fucking Dungeons and Dragons, whatever. If it's Club Penguin, if you know, you know. If it's Neopets. You guys remember Neopets?
I loved Neopets.
if you have a connection with someone over anything, cherish that and nourish that, because you can let a lot of people in your head that will mess up who you are genuinely and authentically.
Yeah.
And so I think just some of my favorite memories are building on those relationships and building those connections and being able to, I think, just get along so easily because you did have that one thing in common. And then the more you hang out, you're like, oh, actually, we have more than this in common. Right. And now I
Yes.
have a friend for life. Right. Or I
Right.
have multiple friends for different eras of my life, whatever it is that I'm interested in that moment.
Right. And I can still reach out today. Alexia texted me right after you texted me. You know what I mean? She's like, you're the first person I thought of to talk about it
Right.
with. You're always going to have that. Just like I have my
Right.
bitches from Miley World, you know?
Yeah.
And your people from the Jonas Brothers,
Yeah.
your Jonas Brothers era, you know? It's like you always have that. And maybe you go 10 years without seeing each other.
Right.
And years without talking. It's like you always are going to have that connection, because every time I think back to that time, it's you and me.
Mm-hmm.
You and me in your Honda Civic.
Yep.
Driving to Los Angeles.
All the time.
Bumping the albums. Meeting up
Yep.
with our girlies.
Yep.
Going and getting some Earth Cafe and fucking shit up.
Yeah. Wreaking havoc
In
on
Los
the
Angeles.
city of Los Angeles.
Going to the Rose
Yeah.
Bowl.
Girls,
This is
the 2013s to the 2014s.
Yes.
Those were a goddamn time.
It really was the height. It really was the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, just so you know where we were at in comparison to everybody else, everyone else was having to go with their parents to the Rose Bowl for what tour was that?
That was
Where We Are?
I think so.
Or is Where We Are the one that Zayn left? What was the one that they toured for Midnight Memories? I think it was called Where We Are. I joined the One Direction Reddit. It honestly is a great time in there.
I bet. Up All Night, Take Me Home, 4. They're skipping
That was the
one.
album.
They're skipping one.
X Factor Live, Up All Night Tour.
I want
Where We Are.
On the Road Again. Oh, yeah, thank you. It just
I didn't go to that one. That's the one I didn't go to, the On the Road Again. You went with Ashley and Nora.
I did, before they knocked down Qualcomm. And I forgot that I went. That's because I was looking for Zayn. And he wasn't there.
Because it was right before he left, right before they came to the U.S.
Oh.
They were over in like Asia or some shit. And he was
right.
like,
He left
get me
in the
the
middle
fuck
of
on a plane.
tour.
Yeah. Yeah, literally was like, Mom, do you have a bed for me? And like literally just left.
Wow.
I remember Harry punched a wall or some shit. Zayn threw Liam up against the wall. They all got in a huge ass fight. And it was also around the same time that he had allegations that he cheated on Perry. And he made that post, I love a girl named Perry Edwards.
Oh.
Remember? It was all of that. And then Naughty Boy. And Louis was like subtweeting Naughty Boy, and they got in a fight. And then Zayn had to tweet back at Louis and be like, mind your fucking business.
Oh,
it
my
was
God. I forgot about that time.
And that's when I checked the fuck out, because I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I definitely. Hello.
I'm too old for this shit.
What do they call it? Amnesia. Not me forgetting what amnesia is. What is that thing called when you forget something?
Yeah. So what did we? Yeah, Where We Are tour.
Where We Are tour.
We're at Where We Are tour, and everybody's there with their parents, and we are in the parking lot taking fucking fireball shots. Okay, delicious. We were fucking lit, and it was great.
Wait, it was Fireball, and then we got a fucking cider.
Yeah,
spicy apple cider.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We had to do it because it was a lot, and
getting to the Rose Bowl in general is a lot.
It was a lot, and I think we did it twice.
We did do it twice. We tried to do it thrice. We did do it thrice. We got there, and Marge was like, "You better be back because I'm picking your ass
guys."
up.
It's not a good story time, but it is a good story time. So this was definitely when we were gallivanting around the city, and so they did the 3 nights at the Rose Bowl, and we did the first night, we did the second night, and then
second night was on a whim. We had tickets, I think, for the first night.
Yes, yeah.
Second night, we were like, we're not doing anything else. Let's just go.
Yeah, because our friend was like, I don't fucking care. We're going right now.
I'm buying the ticket.
She's like, I'm buying everyone's tickets. We're fucking going. I'm not missing it. And we're like, okay.
Shout out Nora Lou.
Shout out Nora Lou. I love that bitch. And so that same night, it was such a fun show. And when we were gallivanting around the city, we were not getting sleep. Okay. We were figuring out where we thought they would go in all of Los Angeles.
And it was during a time where it's like you were like fangirl royalty if you posted a picture with anyone on your Tumblr.
That was also a huge time in Tumblr, and everybody had a Tumblr. Everyone was on there.
The
so
lore.
It was just an experience. You know what I mean? It's just memes. It's just all the.
I wonder where some of those girls are.
Cherish the memes.
Some of those huge One Direction and 5 Seconds of Summer, like Tumblr girls.
Yeah. I'm forgetting
that had
all like their.
So me too. There was this one girl though. She was brown and she was really cute. I think her name was Priya.
Yeah,
I followed her and she was my favorite. It was like
it
had something to do with Zayn. I just forget what her
Probably
thing was.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can have a discourse on this. You guys can comment back and we'll talk about it in the comments.
I wish Tumblr was still cool, but it's not.
It's not. I honestly would love to bring Tumblr back. It was so fun. I don't have time for it though.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Y'all, that was a time in our lives where it was like that was a pretty dark time in my life too. I was basically figuring out, I didn't know it at the time, but I was dealing with a lot of depression and anxiety during that time, and I just thought I was weird or something was wrong with me because I just couldn't seem to get my life together or get out of bed or figure out why I was feeling that way. I just knew that I was, which is basically how it's how that happens. It's how you start to feel the depression, especially if you've not been diagnosed. You can't necessarily put a finger on it, which I think speaks to how a lot of people feel on this like journey of mental health and trying to have these conversations and not knowing how to have them.
Right.
Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know why it is, but I just know that it is.
You go from like, I was fine this day, and then all of a sudden I feel like I'm in a hole and I don't know how I got here.
Right.
I don't know how to get out.
Yeah. So I guess to put a bow on it, I'm still not at the point where I think I've fully experienced the grief, however that's going to look for me. I will never make excuses for poor behavior, but I also do think that we need to be kind. And when someone reaches out for help, like they probably mean that shit, especially if it's multiple times. And I don't know what else we could have done to make him feel like he was wanted or loved, because now he's not here to know this. He's not here to see. I guess we can't see him see it. Does that make sense? Maybe he can see it. And I think he's been showing us signs that he is present. Like a lot of the stuff on the TikTok, I think is really sweet. And like
all the arrows in the clouds.
Yeah. So I think that if it's his soul, his spirit, just his entity, if you will, acknowledging that he can feel it at the very least, but perhaps see
that he's watching.
We don't know.
Yeah, sees it.
You know, I like that and I can appreciate that, but we'll never have the physical body of Liam back.
Right.
And, you know, One Direction is not One Direction. I mean, it stopped being that when Zayn left, in my opinion, but I guess it really just, someone said it the other day, now there will never be One Direction. It's like, at least we had the possibility of it, right?
Yeah.
With
him
also being
that
here.
too is why it's hitting me so hard, because like I said earlier, when Zayn left and everything happened and then they released the album, just the four of them, which I don't fault them for. There's some bops on that one too. I was just angry and I checked out, and so I never processed like when they announced they were going on that 18th month hiatus that has never ended to this day. Everybody was really sad. I never had that moment because I already had checked out.
Same.
And so I think it's hitting me now, of everything from that era, how beautiful it was, all the friends that I made, how much light it brought to a very dark time in my life, and just the joy and the fact that we got to experience that. We didn't get to experience that for NSYNC. We were too young.
Right.
We did for a moment, it was like Jonas Brothers, but I couldn't drive myself to go to a Jonas Brothers concert.
Right.
Or to go to a meet and greet.
Experiencing it when you have freedom.
Yes.
And you are in that spot in your life where I can go to any type of concert I want and take myself there.
I have my own money. I can,
Yes, I can do it on my own.
Right.
And
I don't have to rely on my mom to allow me to go or allow me to do this or buy me this or whatever.
Right. It's like I'm making the conscious choice to do something that I love and care about. That's what it is. That autonomy. It's really like a healing process to allow yourself to be able to do those things, especially in dark times. Because there's moments where you're like, oh God, I can't function outside of this, and I just need something to get me out of bed. And if that something is going to a show and going there with your friends, why wouldn't you do that if it's going to benefit you in any way?
And I think that we both had this attitude of fuck it, we're going, because we both were individually in that.
Right.
And so when we were together and gallivanting and doing all the things, it's like we could put all of that to the side.
Oh, for sure.
You guys, I probably put
Definitely.
10,000 miles. So at the time, I was living in Vegas. I didn't live here.
She was
So
driving.
I probably put 10,000 miles on my Nissan Sentra, coming back and forth to LA all of the time.
It was a lot. There was one time where we randomly, oh my gosh, we have so many stories to share about this time in our life, and it just is relevant now because these were the years, right?
Yeah.
These were the years that this was happening. When One Direction was like absolutely popping the fuck off. I mean, we're talking about filling stadiums. Somebody cares about them, right?
Right.
And
thousands
yeah,
in each city.
And she was near the area for something family related. I'm like, well, when are you going to be done? And she already knew what I meant by that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, wherever you are, I can be there in an hour. And then from there, it's only an hour to LA.
I was in Corona, bitch.
Yeah. So I literally drove there. I was like, I can be there in 30 minutes. And I think I was.
Mhm.
I think that night we ended up getting to LA like the fastest we ever did.
Oh, yeah. Because it was already late.
It was already late.
We had
I think
already
I picked
done
you up at like 10 or 11.
It was my cousin's wedding. So we did, what is it called? The rehearsal?
Oh.
Dress rehearsal? Is that what it's called?
I think so. Dinner rehearsals.
Just two bitches who've never had a wedding. We're like, what is that?
The fuck is that when you like practice and shit?
But yeah. And then we drove our asses to LA. I don't think that was for them though. I think that was for 5 seconds of summer.
It was. Yeah. But it was still like they were opening. So it's like,
yes,
we were hoping that they were all hanging out together.
Right.
The goddamn 9 of them and shit.
Right.
All just having a cute time around a campfire. Like that's not how it was. And that's okay. But we were hoping for the best.
And I have one more story.
Please.
It's just the time to share, you guys. And I do want to end this like on a high note and on a happy note. So do you remember what year could this have been? It was 2015.
Oh.
So like I said, the first time I came out here for spring break, but then in our friendship, every single end of summer / beginning of fall, we would have a Vegas girls weekend.
Oh, yes.
So Danny and her cousin would come out to Vegas and we would do a Vegas weekend.
Oh.
And this particular time, I'm pretty sure this was 2015, it was Liam's birthday. And they had finished. They had just
I forgot about this.
Yeah, they had just finished a tour and we had no idea, you guys.
Right.
We always went to Excess because in my humble opinion, especially in that time period, like the early 2010s, Excess was the best nightclub in Vegas at the Wynn. And it was the vibes. You felt expensive, even though I was there in an H&M dress. Who cares? Yeah. And we went and we had no expectations. We were going to go see Calvin Harris. We're like, let's just fucking go.
Yeah.
I had a connect at the time who would always get us in free and would give us meal tickets.
Are you hungry, little girl?
Would give us drink tickets. And so we would be like, well, we're not paying for drinks. So let's get adios, motherfuckers, and be done with it. So we did. And we were in the outside portion of Excess. So like by the pool. And I'll never forget this. Calvin Harris, this was at the time that Justin Bieber was making his comeback after not being around for a while, after having his hard times. And this was What Do You Mean era. And he had what was the song that he did with Calvin Harris? But he did a song with Calvin Harris, you guys will know. And all of a sudden, he starts raising from underneath the stage. And I got pushed in the pool by some crazed bitch in my brand new thigh-high Roberto Cavalli boots, and I was so pissed.
Oh yeah, she did. She took a little dippy do, not all the way.
No, I didn't go under.
Like a little stumble.
Yeah,
and I mean, I was like halfway inebriated. I had lost the third of us.
Yes,
and so I was like halfway dealing with that. I was gonna beat up a bitch, and then someone was lost, and then all of a sudden, like Justin Bieber was in front of me, and I'm like, oh, what's happening here?
Yes, so we get separated. We somehow all come together outside of the club. We meet each other outside of the club. We're hanging around. These guys approach us. We were in the casino.
Yeah, okay.
These guys approach us. One of them told me, I'm Zane's cousin. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck ever. No, you're not. We're hanging out with them by the slot machines, like on the way to the entrance of the club. Yeah. And all of a fucking sudden, who walks by us?
Posse. Security.
Paul and Niall and Liam and Louie walk past us
with a huge group of people. I mean, we're talking like,
was it? I only remember them. I think I blocked everybody else out.
Girl,
I
like barely saw them. Yeah, it was like a lot of people around them. It was like, I think they each had at least 2 security. And then like people who they were hanging out with.
I would have thought it was I only remember seeing them 3 because I remember hearing Niall first before I saw him.
His laugh.
I
remember his laugh.
And yes, and it was Liam's birthday, and I think Liam was already like inebriated.
Yeah.
And then Louis was the closest to us, and I remember like, Louis, I love you. At the club.
Lying ass bitch. No, she
I
didn't.
You guys.
She was his biggest hater. Listen, this is us many, many moons ago.
Oh,
now
yeah.
we have a much different
Right.
appreciation.
This was me
for
at
every
23 years
one
old,
of them.
you guys.
Yeah.
At the time,
I think
Louis'
I just stared with my
personality-
mouth open.
Yeah, I think you did too. I think that I was the only one that said anything. Was I? Did you say anything?
I feel like I said hi. If I said anything, it was
Hi.
hi. I don't know who I said it to, but I said hi to somebody.
We honestly were elite for the fact that we were the same age as them, so we were able to be in the same places they were without trying.
Right.
We had no
Major
idea.
coincidence.
We had no idea that they were staying at the Wynn. We had no idea that they were going to be
as
at
far
XS.
as we were concerned, they were following us. We had been going to XS for years.
It's our stomping ground.
It's
that
our
was our
place.
regular spot. We went there
Yeah.
every single summer.
I'm like, what are you doing following me here? This is my club.
This is my place.
Get out.
I just got pushed in the pool. So now you're there and Justin Bieber's there? What the fuck is going on?
Exactly.
Where's Zayn? Where is Zayn? I don't think he was there that time.
No.
It was just the three of them. And not Harry, because he's
No.
openly said many times that he hates Vegas.
Oh.
He doesn't like Las Vegas.
I hate Vegas.
It's not really my scene, you know. But yeah, that's a funny story, is that we actually accidentally
after
saw
trying
them
for so many years, we did it on accident.
And I remember them being kind of nice. Am I making that up?
They were very in a rush.
They wanted to go to the
not
club.
rude.
They weren't rude. And I think that
they didn't stop.
I want to say that I think that Louis answered back and said, I love you too. And I was like, well, I was lying, but thanks.
I didn't mean it.
It just came out.
Gotcha, bitch.
It just came out. And I will justify myself here. I
think sometimes it's the only thing that will come out. You know?
What?
It's like there's nothing else I can say.
What else am I going to say?
There's nothing. I can't sit here and talk to you for 10 minutes. I know we're not going to have the interaction. The same thing happened with me and Ashton. Not the first time I met him, but when we were somewhere else. And I got
an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location. And I had way too many people in my little car.
Oh, yeah.
And I got kicked in the head when they were trying to get out, and she kicked me really fucking hard, and I will never forget this. We had to sprint across the street.
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Was that story going somewhere? You got kicked in the head?
I just told Ashton I loved him.
Oh, because you were
I had nothing else to say.
You were delirious.
They were getting ready to go somewhere. They were loading up into the car, but they were outside of the hotel.
I do remember that now.
And I kind of stood back again, not knowing what to do or say.
Right.
And so I was like, "Love you." He was like, "Love you too." I do remember that. Probably because I wasn't inebriated at that time. That was before the One Direction thing, though. That was before we saw Liam and Louis. And all them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
That does happen. You just start to say "I love you" because that's all you can say in 3 seconds.
Was Zayn not there because he had already left the band at that point?
2015 could have been.
I think so.
Could have been.
I think so. So yeah, you do sometimes just say shit like, "You remind me of my brother."
Okay, we don't need to share that one. See, that's what happens. Joy fell off because she's talking shit. I'm not ready to share that story
That
yet.
is weird. We could get into it, you guys. We've really held back. But it is how we became friends. So it's like you can't really. I have to stop being ashamed of it because it is part of my story and it is part of my life. And it was a huge chunk of my early 20s.
Yeah.
I can't just erase that. So.
No.
Because you got busy because you started working at the winery.
Yeah.
So you just couldn't just pick up and do shit wherever. And I was in Vegas. I couldn't just drive to Vegas every time.
Right. At some point we did stop caring. We got it out of our system.
We did.
We're like, look, there's only so many pictures I could take with these guys before they're going to start to think that I don't have a life. Because in reality, if you have time to do that all the time, every single day, you really don't.
Right. And some of the girls that were doing that were still in high school. So of course they have time. What else are they doing?
Yeah. And then that's not who we were. I mean,
we had to
start getting our life together. We were like 23, approaching 24 at that point.
Yeah.
So it was like
how I wanted to be remembered by any of them.
Right. It's like we got to stop this.
It was embarrassing.
We got our pictures the one time, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we really have that much of a prayer, but we will say we love you, Liam. We appreciate everything that you did for the band. And the talent that you brought and the connection that
He was the
you,
glue.
the connection that you brought, because I think
Mhm.
that it was very important for them to have that and make sure that they were kind of all on the same page. And if he was even somewhat responsible for that, we owe him a thank you, and we'll miss you.
I love you, Liam. I really don't think that One Direction would have gotten as far, even in X Factor, because he was the experienced one and he was the one putting them motherfuckers in line.
Yes.
And so imagine if it was just the four of them fucking about.
No,
I don't know if they ever would have gotten
made it past the first.
Yes. So if you are out there and you're listening, please know that while there was no front man of One Direction, you were a huge integral driving force.
Mhm.
And your feelings were valid. And I'm sorry that we didn't always appreciate you. But we do love you, and your memory is always going to live on. And I do want to just address the fans as well.
Mm.
Don't be embarrassed about your grief.
Mm-hmm.
You can cry for as long as you need to. Try to find some kind of outlet. Like for me, this was my outlet today, because it's like I can't just make a random post that just doesn't feel authentic to me, and I don't even know what to write down, so it's like I don't really want to journal about it. I can't just keep scrolling on my phone on TikTok and crying, so I need to do something.
That's how I felt last night. I was like, there's only so many memory videos that I can watch, but it's just my feelings aren't going anywhere. I'm not talking about it. I'm not processing it. I'm not even figuring out what it means for me at all.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it.
Take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. And if there is somebody that you want to reach out to, just reach out.
Yes.
It's okay. And let's try to be better the next time with the people that we love, who give so much of themselves to us, and so much of their talent and lives are just displayed for everybody. Let's try to keep that more front of mind the next time that this happens, so that we can hopefully avoid it. I'm tired of seeing it happen again and again and again. I really think that Liam will be like our generation's Elvis. Elvis was in his 40s when he passed, but my grandma never got over that shit.
Yeah,
my grandma was sad about Elvis forever.
Right. This will be our new normal. When you talk about One Direction, or when you share memories, or when you share stories, you have to talk about now Liam being the first one to pass from the band, being only 31. Yeah. It's a part of every single story that you're going to share. Yeah. It's a part of every single memory. Yeah. Because that is what's left of it. It is the reality that when you are sharing these things, it's like a constant reminder, oh, but wait, it's not that anymore, Right. He's not here anymore. So that's going to, like what you're saying, your grandma experience, you don't ever get used to that. You don't ever become accustomed to that. So it is going to feel very weird for a very long time. And we just have to be okay with that part of our grief.
Right. I mean, I loved Mac Miller in a different way, but I still, when I think of Mac Miller, I'm still sad that he passed away. So be patient with yourself, give yourself time, try to find an outlet, and be kind to each other. And do not go to that funeral. There are people online that are trying to go to the funeral. It's not for you. What's for us is the vigils and the meetups and the Reddit threads, and
we're already
all of
doing
that.
it. Do you want to find something that will help you grieve? It's not to involve yourself in the family affairs.
No. I'm sure that there's going to be people in the streets lined up, just for expressing their gratitude and love, but don't try to go in there and leave the other four boys alone and give them their time to grieve too.
Right. Please. Even if it, for instance, we had tickets to Zayn this Sunday, and I was 99% sure that wasn't going to happen. And so when he postponed, I was very glad, because it could have, you never know. You never know how someone's going to process anything. He could have very well said, you know what? I have to honor my friend, right? I have to honor this relationship that I had with him, even though it wasn't on the best of terms prior to. But that can also affect how you grieve someone, because you never got that closure. And who knows, even if they ever would have.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of, I don't know where this information came from, but I've seen it now several places that Zayn is taking it really hard. I think because of the fact that they weren't on good terms.
Yeah.
And there's that guilt, and they never got to reconcile. He never got to say the things he wanted to say to Liam when he was alive, that he basically has to have somebody with him 24/7, because people are worried that he's not in a good place. So thoughts and love and good energy to all of them. they're all going to process it in a different way, and
Mhm.
that's totally okay. Just because one person said one thing and another person spilled out their heart does not mean that one of them cares less or more.
Right.
We deal with grief on different timelines. So.
Yeah, for sure. Allow people to do what they got to do and
Yeah.
no judgment.
Yeah.
Okay?
And that's really all that I have.
Yeah. If there's anything else, it'll be in the description.
Yeah. We love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're new to this episode because you also are a One Direction fan, welcome. We hope that you'll continue to listen, and we hope that this provided some kind of safe space for you to relate and let some of your feelings out. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a rating and just let us know. And we will be on social, so we are available to talk to if you want to talk.
Mm-hmm. The DMs are open.
Yep.
If you want to throw in your favorite memory of Liam or what you loved about Liam, do that, or comment, or anywhere. We'll be on the YouTubes.
Yep.
Okay, y'all.
I don't know how else to close this out.
That's really it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.